to get started, you're going to need some red and black yarn. I have Craft Smart in bright red and Red Heart Super Saver in black. You'll need a size 6 cable or straight needle because we'll be sewing up the back seam later, and a tapestry needle. So this hat is made from the top down. So we're going to start by casting on 9 stitches. So I want the crown of the hat to start black. You could start red if you like. So we're just going to do a cast on any you like. And we're going to cast on 9. So the first row, which this would be the right side, you're going to start with a knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, all the way across this row, ending with a knit 1. And end with your knit 1. So now you should have 17 stitches. Now all alternating rows, you're going to just purl across. Row 3, you're going to start with a knit 1, and then you're going to repeat, yarn over, knit 2, all the way across until you reach the end. So yarn over, knit 2, then yarn over, and then knit your final 2. Then you're just going to purl across the back. Then row 5 is knit 1, and then a repeat of yarn over, knit 3. Yarn over, knit 3. Then you're just going to do that all the way across, yarn over, knit 3. Row 7 is knit 1, then a repeat of yarn over, knit 4. Yarn over, knit 4. Now when you're done with this row, you should have 41 stitches. Now for row 9, going to do the same as before where we knit 1, and then our repeat is yarn over, knit 5. So every row we're increasing, but we're knitting up to the point to keep these yarn overs together. So when you're done with this row, you'll have 49 stitches. So from this point, you're going to continue in the same increase pattern we've been following. You're going to increase 8 stitches every other row following our purl row until you get 73. So the increase is going to be right when you meet the yarn over. So you're going to knit your solid stitches, and when you get to this point right in between the yarn over and your stitch, you're going to yarn over again, and that'll be your increase. So once you got your 73 stitches, then we'll come back and work on the body of the hat. Once you got your 73 stitches, you can see that your hat is starting to come together. And you can see that the increases cause this spiral effect on the top of the hat. So now from this point, you're going to switch to the red yarn. And you're going to be working the body of the hat just in plain stockinette for 3 inches. So you're just going to go in to knit as normal. But instead of picking up the black to knit, you're just going to hold it in the back, leave a small tail of the red, hold that in the back, and then just begin knitting with the red yarn instead of the black. And make sure you switch color on a knit row, that way to leave the transition. See how it leaves the dashes in the inside of the hat. And then you're just going to do plain stockinette stitch for 3 inches from here. Once you've gotten your 3 inches of red yarn, on your final purl back row, you're going to start adding the black. Because just like up at the top, we want to have the dashes of the color change inside the hat. Then you're just going to be working 6 rows from here, once you get back to the knit side, 6 rows of a 1x1 rib. When you get down to your 6th and final rib row, you're going to be binding off as you do the row. So you just do, since we're on the reverse side, we do our purl 1, knit 1, and then pull the first stitch over and off. So you just continue in your rib, but also add your binding off into the mix. And you want to keep this fairly loose because it is the edge of the hat and you want it to be stretchy, but you also want it to be a nice firm cast off edge. So sometimes what I do is just keep it pretty loose to begin with, try not to pull too tight, and when you go to bind off, just leave the left stitch on while you're pulling this off, so it keeps you from pulling it too tight. So once you've done your cast off edge, then you're just going to leave a small tail for sewing up the end. You can decide however you want to sew up your hat. I try to do as invisible of a sewing as possible. So to sew up the hat, you're going to thread the yarn through your needle, have your hat right side out, then you're going to go to the opposite side of wherever your yarn is coming out, and you're going to see you have this side stitch here. So right before that one, you can see the 2 bars. See the 2 bars that form a stitch? We're going to go in the center of that, right on the edge. So you cross over to the opposite side, you go right in the middle, and you pick up that bar. Then you go to the other side. You're going to be doing a crisscross. And you go in the middle of that stitch, and you pick up that bar. And you just keep doing that all the way up in both red and black parts. Just pick up the bars right on the edge. You can even tug a little to find them. And just make sure you keep them lined up. Then when you go up a certain way, you'll see that you have a little gap here. You just tug lightly, and it tightens it up, and it gives you a seamless sewn up edge. Now you have a seamless sewn up edge. So then you then flip your hat inside out. Then because at one point you'll meet up with the same color because of the way you had to change it, and you can see that the seam, it leaves a very small one on the inner rim, on the inner part of the hat. So if you don't want a seam, then you can knit this on circular needles. But then once you get to the inside, just match up the two colors and just form a little knot. And then you just weave in your ends like normal. But this just keeps the two connected and it makes it easier. So now you just do the same thing for the black on the top of the hat. So once you have the top of your hat seamed up, there's the two ways that you can close the hole on the top. You can easily just weave it in and out and just pull it like a drawstring like normal hats. Or when you're done, you can take the leftover yarn that you used to sew it. You're going to need double pointed needles or circular needles because you're going to have to slide it back and forth. Pinch the hat in half and you're going to divide the opening between two. So then you're going to take, if it's in the back, you're going to pull it to the front, and along the edge here, you're going to pick up stitches. So you want to pick up no more than 4 along the edge. Now if your sewing end wasn't big enough, you can just grab some yarn from the ball. So once you've picked up your 4, then you're going to slide it to the other side and we're going to start an I-cord. So then you just pull it from the other side and begin to knit. Then slide it to the other side. And you just keep knitting, and this is going to form the antenna for the top of our ladybug hat. So when you got your desired length, then what you're going to do is you're going to knit all 4 stitches together. Then you're just going to knit through all of them. Then with that one remaining stitch, then you're going to do a bobble. So you take, to make a bobble, you're going to take the 1 stitch and increase it into 5. So you knit through the front, the back, then through the front and the back, and then through the front one more time. Then you purl across, knit across, purl across, and then you're going to knit all 5 stitches together. Then draw your yarn through the loop, cut it, leaving a little tail. Then you just thread it back onto a needle, and then you're going to tack it down and pull it through the I-cord, and then you'll have your little antenna. And then you have to make 2 of those, and then we'll come back for the spots. To do the dots on the hat, you're just going to take some extra yarn that you've cut off from the inside of the transitioning. You're going to thread it onto a needle. The longer the better, so even if you have to cut a new piece, will be fine. And we're just going to create these zigzags on the inside. So you just come up from the inside of your hat, leave a small tail on the inside of the hat, and you're just going to create these dashes. So you're just going to go over 1 stitch, and there's your dot. Then you're just going to come down or go up, pretty much just randomly place them. But don't put them too far apart because you don't want the dash in the back to be too far away and create a loop. But then you just cross over. Just cross over 2 bars, which is a stitch. And try and keep them even to where you came out of. Then just come up from somewhere again. Then you're going to cross over a stitch. And then you're just going to do that all over the hat to create these cute little dots. Then to finish on the inside of your hat, then you're just gonna, you can either weave these through like normally, or you can put a knot, just a small knot, to make sure it doesn't unravel. You can also do the same pattern that you did for this ladybug hat, and you could create a bumblebee hat as well. Now this one doesn't have the antennas on top, so that's what it would look like just as a hat. But you just do the same thing from the top down, and at that base where we started the red is where you'd start the yellow, and within the 3 inches of the hat you just change back and forth creating the stripes, and then you end with black. So this pattern can give you both a bumblebee and a ladybug hat. I hope you enjoyed this cute critter hat. If you make them, please send me photos. I'd love to see how yours turn out. All the instructions will be in the description box, so please check that out for also additional sizes. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. I'll be glad to hear them and respond if I can. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.